Looking for Madden Ultimate Team coins? Buy NFL Coins has the cheapest and most reliable MUT22 coins. Click the link in the description and use coupon code SPORTS for 5% off your order. We just had another huge Madden 22 patch, and it definitely changed the game. Yo, what's up YouTube? It's Duke back here from sportsgamers.com, and in this Madden 22 video, I'm going to break down this latest Madden 22 gameplay patch and just go over the biggest things that have been changed in this patch and affected gameplay-wise that are going to be relevant when you're playing the game. And the first thing I want to focus on, which is just so big, is delay fades. I feel like delay fades for the past, just not even this year, last year too, but they're the best route in the game. I mean, they block blitzes and then you can release them whenever you want and get, easy yardage, man, zone, nothing really defensive well. EA patched delayed fades. Delayed fades do not work the same anymore, and I want to show you guys a few examples of what I'm talking about. So if you were one of those guys who ran these bunch tight end offenses that abused delayed fades, your offense definitely took a hit, and we're going to look at it here to show you exactly what I mean. So PA boot over would be the prime example of the type of play that would take advantage of this, because you had a crossing route that worked with delay fade, and overall it's just really hard to stop and just move the ball back to get some good room to work with. But plays like this, it's almost like you got to use it a crosser, and if you do that, then this delay fade, you roll out, delay fade blocks, and you release the delay fade when they say you use it a crosser, and you can't get back to delay fade, and no CPUs really want to defend it that well. So that was what made this so good, but it's definitely different. So you see, we're going to put them on a delayed fade. Before I get any further in the video, guys, I do free Madden 22 tips, gameplays, and news on my YouTube channel. We upload daily videos pretty much. Make sure if you're new, or if you like my content, to subscribe to the channel. Drop us a like on the video, comment. All that stuff does help me out a lot as a content creator. Past that, if you're looking to get better at Madden 22, if you want to win more games, whether you play on current or next gen, make sure to check out sportsgamers.com. That is where I post all my premium Madden 22 tips and ebooks. I do weekly tip updates in the Madden Vault. I also do offensive and defensive schemes and ebooks. Everything you guys need to get better at the game. So let's take a look at this. Run a few examples, and as you guys can see, this delayed fade releases immediately. So what they essentially changed with the delayed fades is no longer are they going to just stay in and block until you press their icon and choose to release them. No, now they basically are on a timer to where it's out of your control when they actually release into their route. And you guys can see this. I mean, this may as well just been a streak. I mean, he did delay for a split second, but at this point, you guys can see here, I mean, the spacing, he's running in the same level really as the crossing route anyway, so the spacing is no longer the same. This almost just, like I said, acts as a streak now after this patch. So let's do this again. I just want to show you guys a few examples of this, and also we're going to look at bunch too. But again, look, our tight end doesn't delay at all. He's immediately releasing to his route. And just to show you that there's no correlation to the defense you play, it's going to audible into man coverage. And the same thing is going to happen. You're not going to be able to just make him block and release whenever you want. He's pretty much going to do it just based upon the game. It's out of your hands. So you guys can see that this really changes things for two reasons. First of all, because he's not staying in to block and then releasing. He's essentially releasing almost immediately. It's harder to roll out because you don't get that two guys blocking on the edge there anymore. So it's harder to roll out, as you guys can see here. I mean, it's just simple man defense. I mean, nothing crazy. And, because this is just a single block, the edge guy, he's able to almost sack me. So there's that. The other thing is the spacing. Once again, as I mentioned in the last example, it doesn't space well at the crossing route anymore. It's almost like a streak. Before it was impossible to defend this crossing route in this delay fade, because by the time the crossing route's getting here, we're still, we still would have been blocking our delayed fade, and then we're just going to release him, and then he's going to be, 10 yards behind where he is now, and there's no way a user can guard both of those or get back to both of those routes. So that's kind of how that's going to impact bunch tight end. Bunch tight end, to me, it's still going to be a good offense because there are other good things about bunch tight end, like bombs. The inside zone's one of the better inside zones. And you have some good just straight up dots. But for the guys who want to just be the, cheesers and abuse the late fades all game, can't do that anymore. So let's look at bunch. Bunch is the other formation that so many people would just do the late fades from so many different plays too. One of the key ones is verticals, obviously. So let's take a look. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just respot the ball because, as you guys know, everybody runs bunch with their bunch on the wide side. Now, what was really good about the late fades at a bunch, it really wasn't just as simple as, hey, like, bunch tight end, I'm going to run a delayed fade and a crossing route type thing. Bunch was a little bit more advanced because you had a lot of different route combos you'd want to run the delayed fades with. And for bunch, it is a rollout formation, but it's not as rollout heavy as bunch tight end. So like for me, one of the things I would do a lot is I just do a delayed fade with a crossing route and like the running back coming underneath it. The reason why I like this is in bunch, delay fades block a lot of those meta-contained blitzes, and then, you can release them at the last second once you've gone through your primary progression, which a lot of times will be like, the running back out of the backfield or a crossing route, right? Now, not to say that you would want to use other route combos, because there'd be times where I'd couple delayed fade with corner routes, not just crossers and routes out of the backfield, but there's a lot you can do with it. But the bottom line is similar to bunch tight end. You guys are going to see, he might stay in a little bit, maybe a hair longer in bunch, but he's still pretty much releasing immediately, and we cannot control this. So if I do the same thing again, watch, you guys can see, pretty much within a split second, he's already releasing. And, the spacing is just not what it would be otherwise. Now, because of that, I was able to get that wheel route so open because basically the delay fade was almost, again, like it's almost like a streak now. As you guys can see, it doesn't really block. I mean, it does stay in for an extra, split second, I feel like. But it's pretty much a streak because you guys can see he's downfield, not quite as far as the wheel route, but especially considering he's a tight end, he's downfield a good bit. And this not only impacts the route combos because now the delay fade is no longer the bailout, but also if they were to blitz me here, it would have been a lot harder for me to roll out. Now because they didn't blitz me, it wasn't that hard. But imagine if a blitz was coming off that right edge and the tight end delay fade no longer is there, it's gonna be a lot harder to roll out. So I feel like bunch and bunch tight end were the two offenses that were most dramatically affected by this patch. Trips tight end, somewhat, not really. But if you're talking about the trips tight end offset or the formations where it's just like trips, it's not really the full trips tight end. It's mostly just people trying to run the PA crossers type plays. That was definitely affected too because that's almost the same thing as bunch tight end to where it's the same type of concept. Most people will be running the delayed fade, coupling it with a crossing route, and maybe like a drag underneath. Something not too crazy, but maybe just something like this, right? Now, it's pretty much the same scenario. If you guys take a look here, he doesn't really, he doesn't block, so it's harder to roll out. And then again, you don't get that same spacing with the delayed fade, so you can't just have that as your bailout back over the middle of the field once the crosser's already on the sideline. See what I mean? I'm going to show you guys the replay in a second here, but the thing that made this route combo so hard to defend no longer exists because, before the patch, when your crossing route was at this point where basically nothing guards it other than the user, because once it gets to the sideline and you roll out, even if you have zone drops on, a lot of times the zone drops get ran by and you can just throw it over the top. So you'd have to basically use for this a lot of the time. So what made this so difficult is you see where Kelsey is now, or 87. Back before the patch, we were just releasing him, and maybe he's at the 35, 40 at the most. So you can imagine, as a user, you cannot guard this and then get back to the 35 and 40. But because it's the patch changed it, and now it's no longer controllable when he releases. Now he's almost at the 50. So, we could get back if we needed. But other than that, I mean, this is not even a throw that's open anyways because the safety's right there. And, again, that's just because he no longer has that super delay to where we can just release him whenever we want in the play. So, I'm just curious what you guys think of this patch. Are you a fan of it? Do you think this needed to be done? Personally, this is just my 2 cents on the matter. Yes, I definitely agree delay fades were OP. They were the best route in the game. However, I don't really like what they did with the patch because the thing is there's certain blitzes that, like, the delay fade was useful for blocking. And, like, I'm not one of those people who is going to advocate rolling out and throwing delayed fades every play. But for their intended purpose of actually just picking up some of these blitzes, now that's not really even that effective. Past that, like, I don't really think that they should release, like, so long into the play. But also, I don't think they should be able to, they should have to release this quick either. Maybe we could have found a middle ground, because now, like, in my opinion, they may have well just taken them out of the game, and they should have just brought back the ability to put, like, tight ends on slant routes or something. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, keeping you up to date on what is going on in the Madden world. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and I'll see y'all next time with some more great Madden 22 content.